Is that blown out crazy? Do you need to adjust? Hey folks, we're out here at Urban Dirt Company, and today we're going to give you some DIY hacks for your raised bed hoops. So it's about October when we're putting this video out, and this is prime time to start thinking about seasonal extension. That is, we go from warm season crops to cool season crops, and there's always a little bit of overlap in which you're trying to get every last little bit of fruit or leaf or harvest from what you planted in the summer while still making room for what you're planting in the fall. And with that, you're going to need a little bit of shade, you're going to need a little bit of frost. And the very best thing to do that, especially in a raised bed situation, is to give those covers something to rest on. So with frost blanket, during the cold part of the season that's coming up, you can use that to keep the frost off of the plants. And so we're still getting heat waves though at this time of the year. So behind me, you can see that we still have some shade cloth on some of the cool season plants that we planted last month in this video about planting in September. Some of us have back issues. So the thing we like about a raised garden is the ability to be able to harvest, maintain, and do everything we have to do without getting up on the hands and knees all day long. Makes for a much nicer work environment. So let's go over how to protect these crops.
If you didn't know, Bootstrap Farmer has a 4-foot hoop bender to bend your hoops. And we show you that in this video. And then in this video, we show you how to use our cross connectors in our low tunnel kit to build your low tunnels.
So one little tip to save you some time, and you can also store this inside of the tote that you keep all your snap clamps and your cross connectors and things in if you decide to take this apart during the year, is this adapter, 3/8 adapter, goes into the socket that you use to put the low tunnel cross connectors on, goes right into a drill, and instead of having to use your fingers, which you can't get tight enough, a pair of pliers, which are super inefficient, just put it in your drill, good to go. So as you can see, building a low tunnel cover out of EMT metal using our low tunnel kit, you have a rigid, sturdy low tunnel frame that can be easily taken apart and stored in the off season and easily put together and moved during the season.
So again, this gives you multi-season functionality and the ability to hang shade cloth, frost blankets, and your irrigation.
In the extreme cold seasons, you can also use greenhouse plastic to cover your most sensitive crops to get the benefits of a very economical low tunnel cold frame. If this is your first time gardening and you're using the square foot garden technique, the low tunnel cover easily translates into that practice to cover every square inch of your raised garden bed. So for a lot of you that are considering gardening for the first time and you're thinking about building low tunnel hoops out of PVC, they're cheap, they're economical, but that cheap economics also comes with some hardships. The tunnels may be great for a season or two, but here's the thing to remember. We always like to think about using the right tool for the job that's going to last the duration for multiple years worth of use. So doing something a little bit more expensive in the beginning means that you're going to only do that task once, and as you get busier and as you become more successful, every second's going to count. Don't spend it rebuilding things. PVC is made to hold water under pressure inside of a house that's never going to be exposed to the sun. It's never meant to be used outside. It's certainly never meant to be bent and exposed to the constant heating and expanding and contracting as the sun comes up, as the sun goes down. Over multiple seasons, it's eventually going to crack. So two things that can happen when they crack. As you're working on it, I hope it never cracks on you and actually comes back and either hits you or cuts you or something like that. Or if it breaks when you're not around, but it's holding up some of your agricultural cloth, like the frost blanket, like greenhouse sheathing, like the shade cloth, it's likely to tear it. And now you're having to replace two things. So building something out of EMT means that you can pick it up just like you saw us move that into place in a little bit, take it down. It's going to retain its shape. You're not going to have to rebend it over and over again, further causing stress. So again, right tool for the right job. There's also some studies that you can look into that shows that polyvinyl chloride, which is PVC, does tend to leach into the soil when it's exposed to UV radiation. All right, so there's two ways that people tend to put the frost blanket, a shade cloth, or even the greenhouse plastic on. One, the cheapest, most readily available, are these little squeeze clamps that you can get anywhere. The problem is, for me at least, is they cover a very, very small portion of the fabric. So you have like a little pinch point. The other thing that happens is as they stick out, you tend to run into them and then they fall off and then they don't do you any good. The Bootstrap Farmer snap clamps, a little bit wider profile. They go on easy, they hold it nice and neat, and then when it's time to move it, you simply peel it off. So because the snap clamps so easily come off, we can quickly change to frost, to shade, whatever we need to do. Once you fold this up nice and neat, we're gonna go ahead and put this in a tote, because I promise no matter where you store this, for some reason, mice love to eat this kind of stuff. The more expensive it is, the more holes you're gonna get in there from varmints, and it also holds spiders, and that's just gross. So again, any type of plastic tote that you can fit in with the snapping lid, it's gonna keep those varmints and critters out.
And since we're not putting a shade cloth on, we're putting our low tunnel away, we're also gonna store our snap clamps with that frost blanket.
All right, so right now it's October here in Texas. It's still pretty dang hot. And so we have the shade cloth on. We need to make sure we're still getting enough water. If it's in the winter time and we're worried about frost and that frost hitting and we have a frost blanket up and we're protecting that, we equally have to keep in mind that as that sun comes up, it's going to warm up this bed much faster, which means we could dry out the soil much faster too. So just know that in the beginning, early part of the season, as you're bringing on frost blanket on and off early on, that it does require a little bit of labor to make sure that's taken off, and a keen eye to make sure that you're putting your fingers in the soil to make sure you're still getting enough moisture.
Last month when we were here, we planted cucumbers in this bed, and now we're back again in October, and in that time, it's been attacked by cucumber beetles. So this is a perfect example of when we could have used a low tunnel to do some insect netting and protected those plants.
So to wrap everything up, building a low tunnel once, or building the components once, and being able to use multiple seasons year after year is a smart investment in time and materials. It gives you the option to protect against insects, the cold, wind, harsh summer, cold winters, frost, all of it. They're easy to use in that the covers can come on and off quickly with the snap clamps, and you can just simply lift up or unsnap if you have something really buttoned down like greenhouse plastic, to get in there, to harvest, to prune, to check the crops, to fertilize, to take care of the irrigation, and any other activity that you may have to do.
If you've used any low tunnels in your garden or your farm, comment below. Let us know what you've done and give tips for everybody else. You can also check the links below for our low tunnel blogs and our additional video resources.
So we appreciate you watching. It is prime time to get your fall and winter gardens up to speed and take care of some of this infrastructure, again, that you're going to use now into the summer, into next spring. It's a perfect time to get it done. Please like and subscribe, leave those comments. It lets us know how to make content for you and for everybody else that's going through your same path right now, and we'll see you in the next video. Is that blown out crazy? Do you need to adjust? Okay.